Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. What's she up to now? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sharing my journey and documenting my journey as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. Been doing it for a couple of years now. 2017, I found myself in a situation where I was old, but I felt too old to get a job or do something different. And I found myself as part of my divorce with a chance to divest myself of all my past businesses and my past life and try something new, do something totally different. I was too old to really get another job or go work for somebody else, but I was also too young to stop doing anything and to retire. And I'd always been drawn to the internet world and the internet. I always found it fascinating. And so I hopped in with both feet and both arms and started doing stuff. Now, I didn't have a plan when I hopped online. I didn't have a passion or a desire, or I had no idea what I really wanted to do. I just knew I wanted to do something remotely. I wanted to have that laptop lifestyle that everybody promised, to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with whomever I want. And me, it was Pajama Grandma wearing whatever I want. Now, you might have noticed that Pajama Grandma, or you might not have noticed because you might not have ever heard of her, sort of disappeared throughout the COVID pandemic. It was my opportunity. I've been trying to kind of divest myself or take that piece of me out of the equation for about a year now, but I didn't know how to do it. I kind of wanted to kill Pajama Grandma off, but when I told my family, who hates Pajama Grandma, they think she's ridiculous, which is me, right? That I was going to have her pass away, they're like, well, you can't do that. It's COVID-19. That would be horrific. So instead of passing away, she just kind of has gone by the wayside. I use and I do on my Pajama Grandma page my 365-day challenges for doing one fun thing every year this year, which has proved to be perfect, because what a year where we need more fun and love and energy and entertainment and happiness and joy in our lives. I don't know about you, but I certainly do. So it has been really fun every day to do one fun thing every day on purpose with my little granddaughter 5 days a week. And then when I don't have her, guess what? On the weekends, I choose to find something fun to do every day on my own. I find at least one thing that brings me fun and joy and happiness. And I use a little journal book called Do One Fun Thing Every Day as a prompt. Now, if I didn't have the book, would I find one fun thing to do every day? Yes. I'm actually running out of that book series. I started a couple of years ago to get myself to go online and to figure out my voice and to talk and try to figure out what the heck I was here for and what I was doing by doing one thing every day that stretched my comfort zone, one thing every day that scared me. And I actually got the idea from a book that I had gotten for a friend of mine when we joined a network marketing company together. We joined a network marketing company and we were both scared to do the things that they were telling us to do to be successful because it was outside of our comfort zone. So I'd gotten us each this book, and I think I got about 2 weeks into it before I quit doing it. And I don't know that she even ever cracked the book open, but I revisited it then in 2017 and I said, okay, I might not be applying this to a network marketing company, but how could I apply it to my life right now and what I want to do online? And then last year in 2019, I was going through moving and finally divesting myself of all the things that I had in common with my ex-husband and getting that resolved. And so actually just finished this year right before COVID. So that's finally done. But I wanted more love and more positivity in my life. So I did, no, it wasn't love. It was happy. Last year I wanted to be more happy. I was thinking it was love. Maybe love will be next year. But it was happy. So every day for 365 plus days, I hopped on and talked about what it was, one thing every day, looking for one thing every day to make us happy. And actually, before I even started doing these challenges in live, I did them with myself. I would go to, following my sudden cardiac arrest, the state park every day. And I thought, oh, I'm going to get so bored walking in the same state park every day as my exercise. And what I found was, if I asked myself and I looked for something beautiful every day that I hadn't seen before, that made my walks really fun. So really, even before doing one thing every day that scares me, for a couple of years, I did one thing every day to find something beautiful that I hadn't seen before. And that's what kind of got me on the 365-day challenge things. That, and I was with a group that it was probably, gosh, when was it? It was 2 years ago now. We did a 365-day challenge to go live in that group every single day. And we had to think of something or talk about something every day during that year. And I wish I had saved those videos because I think it might be fun to go back and look at them now, but I didn't. And so it was in somebody else's group, so I don't even have access to those. But it was a very fun educational learning experience. We started out with like lots of people, like probably 100 maybe, and it narrowed down to, I think, 6 of us actually finished that year-long challenge. And some of us had challenges during the year, like we got banned from Facebook, and it was a Facebook Live challenge. That was a challenge. We had to figure out how are we going to do it. And what I did is I did it on YouTube, and then I shared it in the Facebook group, because I could share YouTube in the Facebook group. I just couldn't go live in that group. So that taught me that there's always a workaround. There's always a way to figure things out. Even when you don't think there is, there's always a way. There's always an answer. So I want to talk about frameworks today, and the power of frameworks, and how I've always believed in processes and procedures and systems for automating things, but making them duplicatable. And then once it's duplicatable, you can automate it, or you can offline it, or you can get help doing it, whatever. So I've always believed in frameworks. Ever since I was young, I knew that there were simple ways to do things and there were hard ways to do things. And frameworks are just a simple way of describing a more complex process or procedure, right? So think of Roy G. Biv. Roy G. Biv is, and acronyms are easy ways to remember things, right? The colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Biv. It's a lot easier to remember, for some reason, Roy G. Biv than it is to remember the actual list of colors of the rainbow. But the acronym symbols and helps us remember the colors of the rainbow. That's a really simple example. But there's other frameworks, like in high school, I learned the 5 W's and H for how to write a good article, how to make sure that you're including all of the important, pertinent facts and information in a journalistic article, or in a paper, a term paper. Who, what, where, when, why, and how, right? Who, what, where, when, why, and how. The 5 W's and an H. Another framework I learned in college and have used pretty much throughout my life is PDCA. It's the quality cycle: plan, do, check, act. And that's an example of a framework that you could spend an entire book describing, but PDCA is all my brain needs to pull up all that information that I learned over the years and the experiences I've had with that framework, and it allows me to instantly apply that framework to any situation that I'm currently facing. Marketing, there's lots of marketing frameworks. Value ladder, or maybe it's a principle, but I think of it as a framework for outlining your particular products and services that you offer to the world. Hook, story, offer is a framework of how to present a marketing message to the world. Those are just marketing examples, but there's frameworks in every area of our life, everything that we do. I have a morning framework, which is also known as a habit or a routine, that I follow, and that's changed and grown with me over the years as I've changed and grown and figured out pieces that work. During COVID, guess what? My morning routine was blown up and had to change drastically, because 5 days of the week I hang out with my amazing granddaughter first thing in the morning. So my morning routine that I used to get a couple hours to myself during has now shrunk to, I've had to totally blow it up, and I create my content in the morning before she comes. Otherwise it isn't going to get done. And then I had to break up the pieces of my normal morning routine, like exercise, had to move to the evening when she goes home. And just, that's what we need to do. As things change around us, we adapt. I still have a morning routine and a framework that I follow. I just had to break it up and do it differently than I had been doing it before. So frameworks make our lives function a lot more easily. It's like driving a car. Once you learn how to drive a car, you don't have to think about it all the time. If you had to think of all the steps of driving a car, heck, it would be really hard and mentally taxing to drive your car from point A to point B. But how many times have you gotten to work or the store or home and thought, I don't even remember driving here, but you're pulling into the garage? I know that happened to me a lot, because the framework of driving becomes so automatic. And that's how we want to make a lot of things in our life. The Get Up and Go Challenge, we're talking about the SOAP framework, and over the next couple of days I will share the SOAP framework with people. But we talked about the importance of having frameworks to make our lives work. Otherwise we just would get overwhelmed with the details of what has to get done. I was that person that used to have at least an ongoing 400 item to-do list. How overwhelming is that? No wonder I felt frustrated a lot when I was younger. And now, and I thank the online world for this, otherwise I probably wouldn't have been exposed to the concept of one thing a day. One thing. You do the one thing every single day that's going to be the big domino that gives you the effect that impacts everything else. And the last couple of years I've done that. I've had, okay, this is my one thing that has to get done today, and then everything else that gets done feels like a bonus. And it is a bonus. And so every day, instead of feeling like a failure because I didn't get my 400 item list done, I feel like a success because I've gotten this one thing that I promised myself I'd get done, and then all these other things too. So it just kind of flips the whole to-do list. And I used to be the queen of lists. I had a list for everything. And I had a process and a procedure for everything. And I still do, but they're just now on autopilot. I just automatically do those things without having to think about it. And one of those things that has been really powerful for me throughout my life is this SOAP model, the method and the way that I handle challenges. I think that compared to a lot of people, I've had a lot of challenges that I've had to overcome. And I think that until I interview somebody, I'm interviewing a gentleman this week about challenges, and when I look at the list of the challenges he's overcome, I feel like mine are like minuscule. Not that we compare ourselves to others, but there's always somebody that has it better or worse than you. There's always somebody that's going to be smarter or not as smart as you. There's always going to be somebody that's better looking, more talented, more whatever. So don't compare yourself to others in a way that ever makes you feel bad. I think that one of the best lessons I've learned in life is that my purpose and my job is only to become the best possible version of myself. It's not up to me to ever compare myself to anyone else. I just need to compare myself to me each and every day. And am I better today than I was yesterday? If I am, then I feel like I'm moving in the right direction. If I'm not better today than I was yesterday, maybe I need to look at something that I'm doing, thinking, feeling, or paying attention to that's causing me to have that impression. And then fix it, and then take action to make sure that I am continually striving to make progress to be a better human being. Our purpose. I used to chase down purpose all the time. I read dozens and dozens of books about purpose and how do you find your purpose, because I used to, for lots of years, feel bad that I wasn't super awesome or talented at anything. I couldn't sing, I couldn't dance, I couldn't draw, and I was looking at all the things I couldn't do and comparing myself to people that were awesome at that. I'm 5'1.5". I can never be 6 feet tall. Now, I didn't ever feel short, so that's probably the one thing that I got over when I was young, and not comparing myself to other people, but everything else was still open. And it wasn't until I realized that it's impossible to be anybody but myself. And so I can't be anybody else, but I can continue to improve and be the best version of myself each and every day. And that feels a lot better, because that feels like something I can control and I can do and I have an impact over. Anything else, I have no impact over. I have no impact over anybody else on this planet, and no ability to really be them, if that makes sense. I'm not saying we don't impact other people or influence other people, but ultimately it's up to them to choose and decide what they are or are not going to do with every one of their own experiences, just like it's up to me to decide what am I going to do with my experiences. So I like to learn from them, especially the negative ones, and then make sure I don't repeat those lessons learned. But if I don't learn the lesson, guess what? I'm destined, like everyone else, to repeat it. At least that's been what's happened to me in the course of my life. If I look back on my experiences, usually when I finally get an aha moment or an epiphany or a lesson, I learn a lesson, I'm like, oh my God, how come I didn't see that before? If I take about 30 seconds, I can go back and I can see how often that same exact lesson has been served up to me through experiences, but I totally ignored it. And I don't do a lot of that, but every once in a while I do, because that reinforces the learning for me personally. I don't do it on everything, but I do it on some things, especially things that I know that I should have learned it a lot longer ago. You know, for example, exercise, physically taking care of myself, getting enough sleep, eating right. For 20 years, I didn't really do that. I mean, I guess it was less than 20 years, but for about 20 years, I had amnesia and was going through my life with blinders on, assuming that I would just always be healthy and I'd always be fine. And then I dropped dead. I had a sudden cardiac arrest and dropped dead. That was my huge wake-up call to say, maybe, just maybe, you need to spend a little bit of your 24 hours a day eating, taking care of yourself, thinking in a better way, and moving your frickin' body, getting something done, walking, even just walking. I would say 90% plus of my exercise is walking out in nature, because it kills a couple of birds with one stone. Not literally killing birds, but it accomplishes several things for me. It allows me to think and relax and handle my mental, my emotional, and my spiritual well-being. It allows me to physically move my body and get some exercise and burn up some energy, but also gets me and creates more energy. It allows me time to think and breathe and enjoy nature and appreciate all of the cool things and all the abundance that's around us all the time, despite all the BS messages we're getting from the rest of the world, especially the media, especially naysayers and negative people around us. They're everywhere, right? People are everywhere, and some people are positive and awesome and they help us grow. Other people, not so much. So, frameworks. I would love to know today your favorite framework. Right now, my favorite framework is SOAP, because that's the one I'm doing, I'm loving, and I'm teaching everybody in the Get Up and Go Challenge, which is a 30-day free challenge, by the way, on the Get Up and Go Challenge page. I guarantee that you will get results from that challenge. Anybody that goes through that challenge, I guarantee. And I've broken it down into itty bitty, minuscule, bite-sized pieces. Although I did go over 10 minutes yesterday by 12 seconds. I feel really guilty, so I want to keep them under 10 minutes every single day, and it was 12 seconds over because I was talking too much. But what's your favorite framework? I love frameworks, and so if you have one that you're using that you love, I want to know so I can learn about it too, because that's one of my favorite things these days is frameworks and what things mean and how we can make our lives easier. Because isn't that what it's all about? Making our lives more fun and easier and more positive and successful, in our opinion, what that means to us, what that means to you. All right, have an absolutely amazing day. I will, of course, be with you tomorrow to let you know what I'm doing as I continue down this road of going from the offline brick and mortar world to the online world. Take care, have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below.